I know that you've been very public about the fact that you have dyslexia, and that has not obviously kept you from going on to become an author. When did that present itself, and how did you overcome those challenges initially just to become a reader?
100%. So I have a photographic and auditory memory, and that plays a big part in my whole like dyslexia story because I was able to memorize all the words and spit like it seemed like I'm reading, right? From fifth grade, from ever since first grade to about sixth grade, from when like I caught it. But it seemed like I'm reading. I have no idea what the words actually mean. I'm just spitting it back to you, and they're like, "Oh, well, he's completely fine. He doesn't have any problems." And so, since I had this great memory, I would run into a lot of the time, especially after I got diagnosed with dyslexia and all that, was teachers being like, I don't believe you. I'm not gonna. And so there would be a lot of friction there. I remember it had to be at least 14 times from sixth grade to was senior year of high school is like 12th grade, right?
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yeah.
most of the time.
At least a dozen times of that happening because they just thought I was lying or something. But really, I had the comprehension was the big problem for me. Like I could memorize the words and spit it back. And it also ties into how I write my books. So I write them in a fast, fun paced way that they're not too big books. It's not like you're cracking open $100,000. No, 100,000 word book. It's not like you're cracking open 100,000 word book. You're reading a quick book that's around 150 pages, and it reads so fast that it's like it just plays like a movie, and that's what I love because those are the types of books that I loved growing up. Was like, and that's really the first book I got super passionate about was Beowulf, and that was only like 120 something pages. And so that's like the real reason why I pulled it off the shelf when I was a kid. And I was like, oh, I'll read this like freshman year in high school. And that's really what started sparking stuff for me. And so when I write these books, I write it in a way that's fun, it's fast paced, and really like you don't see what's coming next. And by the time you put down the book, you're like, wow, like that was amazing. Where is the next one? And I want to spark that passion for younger readers.
So prior to being diagnosed, did you think that hearing it and memorizing it was just the way everybody else was reading?
I thought personally, whenever it was, popcorn, Andrew, reread, big dread for me. That was like a giant, like every day in class, I was like, do not call me. I was the kid who would be like the popcorn, because I did not like reading until probably around seventh, eighth grade. But it was it was a big, like I knew other people had no problem reading. But for me, it was always like those commercials, right? Where they're like, oh, look at how like strong our paper towels are compared to other paper towels, and they put the rock on, and the one paper towel glides through it no problem, and the other paper towel gets shredded up and torn up. I felt like the other paper towel there. So that's kind of like the best way I could describe it. It was more like I knew I wasn't good at it, right? Because like I thought I would like people would be laughing at me while I was reading or whatever. And I still like just never understood what I was saying. I remember what was a big seventh grade book? It's like Catcher in the Rye? I think it was Catcher in the Rye, but
You look at a lot of seventh grades. I don't know what they were doing in yours.
I went to a Catholic school too, so from kindergarten through eighth grade. So I think it was Catcher in the Rye, but I remember like going through and like being called on to read that book so much and having no idea what it was about.
That's a risque choice for a Catholic school. Good for
Yeah.
whoever put that in the curriculum.
Oh yeah.
So when you read Beowulf, you said you're a freshman in high school at that point,
Yep.
and then that you fall in love with that. So when does the ship turn around and you become, I assume, a pretty big reader, right?
Yeah, so I got pretty big into reading and writing probably my sophomore year. I remember I had my teacher, and it was Mrs. Topham, and she was trans, and this was a big time. This is a big thing at the time. It was 2010. Like I remember they were really mean to this woman. They would have
Parents and teaching at a Catholic school.
no. So
Okay,
after eighth grade, I was out of the Catholic school.
okay, just checking.
Yeah, so my
Catcher in the Rye was impressive. That's amazing.
yeah.
It's the most progressive Catholic school ever.
Oh yeah. But yeah, this was my teacher, and she got ridiculed. I remember at one of the parades, they did a whole float making fun of her, and I thought it was
Oh, wow.
abhorrent. But this lady really put a lot of time into helping me like free write, like writing not for a purpose, writing for something I want to make. And I remember doing writing 25 pages of gibberish about like a battle between minotaurs and riding rhinos and all this other stuff. And I was like, and it always stuck with me, always stuck with me. And I just like, it got to the point where I'm like, I need to write in 2019, you know?
I'm sorry, you said the school made a float. The school did this, or the students did this at a school event, and they still let it go. You know, there's no way that's excusable, no matter how it came about. Is there?
I know it was like I want to say it was the like a homecoming parade or some parade, but I remember it so clearly because I was there and all these guys were making fun of her by dressing up as her, and it was pretty bad.
That was what year that happened?
2011,
Way too recent.
2011,
Way too recent.
it's crazy how time, like you look back and that's only 10 years ago, you know. It's crazy, but I am so like if you're hearing this, Miss Topham, you helped me so much, so thank you.
So what did Miss Topple do? She was just encouraging you on a regular basis. She was reading what you wrote. How did she help?
She challenged me. So she was like, she gave one of the assignments was a free writing thing. And this wasn't a thing in any of my other English classes throughout. It was a free writing assignment. And she could tell I was passionate about the story. And so she challenged me to keep writing more, keep doing more with it. And this was like the first, and like it's really it was me working that muscle for the first time. And yeah, I'd say I owe a lot of my success to her, you know?
So this is a thing that's caused you terror if you're going to be called on to read Catcher in the Rye in class, and you know that's going to I guess that was a different school, so it wasn't the same mean students who built the float, but still, students can be mean at all schools at that age. So I'm assuming there's a lot of personal trauma tied up in that, and then she gives you this feedback that gets you that almost like you're walking for the first time, right? But you're reading and you're writing.
Oh yeah, I went from crawling to hobbling, I'd say, but it's a start, you know, and stuck with me. And I am just so thankful for like even the bad experiences of kids laughing at me while I was trying to read, like all that helped get me to this point right now, you know. That's all I kind of think about.